podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome to How Are the Podcast. It's Gav and you join us bang on full time after Sunderland's 2-1 win at Coventry City. Yes, we've took the lead in the playoffs. Finally got a win under our belt, some goals. Maybe this approach was the right one. What do we reckon? Anyways, we're going to get right into it because I'm dying to talk about this game. First up, I've got Bomber. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Get in there.
Yes, get in there. And also with us, we've got Ant Watterson. Hello, Ant.
All right.
Yes,
get in there.
More than all right. More than all right. I mean, let's get right into it. That was class. And it just felt like such a relief when that full-time whistle went, because that was the performance I knew was coming. In my heart of hearts, I knew that was coming. All the preparation, you know, the sort of the difficult conversation around the way we've actually tried to approach these games, it went out the window in 5 minutes because you could just tell straight away that they were up for it. And I think it was our belief and our confidence that carried us through to the end. I know we'll get into the goals, but there was a bit of fortune in the way we got the winner. But still, I think we deserved it. I just think we were so good. I mean, right the way back to the team selection, the manager sprung a couple of surprises, which I'm pretty sure Frank Lampard wouldn't have been expecting because we weren't. And I just think we made it very, very difficult for them. That was the perfect performance for the away leg of a playoff semi-final. I mean, I'll let you come in on that, Bomber, but how are you feeling right now?
Oh, it's mixed emotions, isn't it? Like, absolutely buzzing. Not just the fact that we won the game, but the manner in which we won the game. You know, to be like backs to the wall defending for the majority of the game, thinking we're going to try and come away with a 0-0, then go in 1-0 up, then having them equalise straight away, and then having the win gifted to us in the last 10 minutes or so, whatever it was. Yeah, just a mixture of emotions, and I'm. As high as we are right now, we need to remember that we still got a job to do at the Stadium of Light. So I just want to be really, really excited and I am, but then I need to temper that with, you know, what we're doing is taking a 1 goal advantage to another game at the Stadium of Light. So yeah, but for tonight at least, until I go to bed, until I wake up in the morning, it'll be as if we won the FA Cup final. But we did deserve it, most definitely. I think. Tellingly, I've got good friend of mine who's a Coventry fan, and he messaged me.
You've got your friends with a Coventry fan.
Yeah, I know. To be fair, I was friends with him before I knew he was a Coventry fan. So, but he texted me and said, "Oh, this is shit from Sunderland," and I just replied to him and I said, "Mate, it doesn't matter at this stage of the competition. It's about being effective, not attractive. And yeah, okay, for you." Who've had all the ball, all the possession, all the attempts, etc. It might have been shit. We're the ones taking a 1 goal advantage into the playoff second leg. So, yeah, thoroughly deserved and fair play to the lads.
I think Bomber's made a good point there. The job's not done, and you could tell in the reaction from the players at the end that they didn't want to celebrate too much because they know that the job's not done. But I bet when they got back into that changing room, there was an almighty sigh of relief, just because the pressure. There's been a lot of pressure on them to deliver a performance like that, hasn't there?
100%. And I think it's more relief than out else, even though I'm like you guys, I really want to go running up the street cheering my head off, but I know we're only halfway there. And it was telling, wasn't it, when you saw, at the end of away games, Eliezer does the whole, picking the crowd up, and he didn't do it, did he? And he was going, point his finger at the crowd saying, no, it's not done yet. But I think it's more relief. And I think what it kind of sums up is what we were doing these last 5-6 weeks was getting everyone match fit, getting everyone in shape. If some players needed a rest, they got the rest, and the proof was in the pudding tonight. I mean, Dan Ballard today came back, played half an hour last week against QPR, and you wouldn't have thought he'd been away today. He was absolutely magnificent tonight. Absolutely magnificent.
That was a defensive performance for the ages. We'll look back on that, particularly if this is a successful playoff campaign. We'll look back at that performance from him. I mean, they were all outstanding, but he was absolutely brilliant. And because that was a big call, Bomber, wasn't it, to put Ballard in ahead of Mepham. Mepham and 09 have been the most consistent pairing right through the team all
Yeah.
season. You can pretty much put your money on them two playing together. And I didn't see that coming. And I think it was Martin actually called it on the pod that went out on the day of the game. I think Martin half suspected he might try it and maybe do something a bit different with the defence. But it was totally justified. It was the perfect game for Dan Ballard. He's at his best when we're defending for our lives, chucking ourselves in the way of everything, really having to dig in. That was like Ballard at his best for me.
Well, that's the thing. It like as we sat there looking at the team sheet before the game had kicked off, it was a surprise. But now with hindsight, looking at how Lebris set us up to play, to defend, etc., it's not a surprise at all because there's no better person. If you want to kick it and head it, physical defender, there's no better person than Dan Ballard. So, with that knowledge that that's how we were going to approach the game, completely the right decision. Bit harsh on Mepham because he's been absolutely brilliant for us this season. There's no bones about it. But I'm sure Regis Lebris would have had a chat with him and say, look, this is what we're going to do for the away leg. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back in for the home game. Mepham, that is. But yeah, Ballard was absolutely immense. I think he's just quadrupled his value. If anybody was looking at him, he's just quadrupled his value. And I don't know if either of you, do you see the stats just at the end of the game before they presented him with his man of the match trophy?
No,
it was
no.
He had 20 clearances, which was 9 more than anybody else on the pitch. He had something like 14 tackles, which was 6 more than anybody else on the pitch. He was like ranked first in every single defensive statistic and marker. Yeah, thoroughly deserved from him.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably do 10 minutes on each player. I honestly think it was that good.
Yeah.
And when I say good, from the outside, people who haven't watched Sunderland this season, as you said, Bomber, your mate who's a Coventry fan, probably look at us sitting back and sitting in and thinking, well, they're not much cop. But that's how we can be effective away from home. We've shown that all season, particularly against some of the decent teams, because when they want to because the pressure was totally on Coventry today. They put pressure on themselves all week, in my opinion, by really talking their chances up. Every Coventry fan I've heard they thought they were just going to walk into this and they were praying to play Sunderland. And we thrived in that environment, and didn't we, where we were the underdog for once. We went into it, everyone was, even the talk before the game on Sky when I was watching it, it was all about what Coventry were good at and how poor Sunderland were playing at the minute. And I think it that created the perfect environment, because the lads all week have had to listen to this and they're probably thinking, we're going to show you all what we're made of. And I mean, there should be no need for extra motivation in a playoff game. But I'm so happy that they turned up. I am, because it's reminded everybody that we're actually very good.
Yeah, 100%. And when our backs are against the wall, that's when I think we come out and we show teams that we are like a team to be reckoned with. And I agree with everything you said there. Like all week we've had to hear, the podcast you did with the Coventry fan, we've had to hear that all week, haven't we? Like they've been full of it, haven't they? And then tonight, yes, we're only halfway done, but that performance tonight is just, I think it's proved a lot of people, a lot of doubters of this football club wrong, and a lot of doubters in Reggie wrong as well, because he could have easily just went, you know what, we'll try and win it in the first leg, we'll try and play out and out football. We would have lost tonight. You know what I mean? We would have been played off the park. We tried that when we played them in the league, and we got thumped 3-0. And I think it takes, a very, very, a manager who knows what he's got in his squad and he knows what he's doing to kind of make a 90-minute masterclass of how to defend there. Yes, the players have had to do it on the pitch, but he is literally they've obviously got that down to a T this week, and fair play to him.
And on top of that, the players have got to buy into it too. It shows that they believe in what the approach was. They clearly bought into it, because you heard Luke O'Nien at the end talking about the way we've prepared for this, and he was saying, I know there's been a lot of chat about us and stuff, but we've not really focused on that. We've been focusing on what we're good at. Even before the game, the manager was talking. He was saying, because he was asked about the recent form, and he went, "It's exciting. Over 46 games, we've been the 4th best team in the championship, and this is the point we've been drumming home on here. We're not a bad team because we lost a bunch of games that, in all honesty, meant nothing. We're still a good team, And look, I don't want to get too carried away because, as we've said a few times already, this is just half time, and Coventry are going to come back with a vengeance on Tuesday night, and we've got to expect that. But
the thing is, though, Garth, right, is that
tonight.
There's you cannot underestimate how important that second goal is, because if you take a draw to the Stadium of Light, and then it becomes a one-off game, whoever wins that fixture. And, if we draw that game at the Stadium, like having drawn tonight, then it becomes extra time and it potentially becomes the lottery of penalties. The whole dynamic of that second leg now is, as long as we don't get beat at home, we're through to the final. And that doesn't mean that we should be sitting back and thinking, okay, well, we'll go and play for a draw. We play how we should be playing at home. Coventry aren't that great away either. But just circling back to your point about how we've set up and how we've prepared for that, there's a fair few people, I think, need to owe Regis Labrie an apology for, all the shit and the stick that he's got for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. Admittedly, the results in the league have been crap, let's be frank, but you don't put in a performance like you did tonight without having worked on it for 3, 4, 5 weeks solid. So all that says to me now is that we completely wrote off those league games, got the people who needed a bit of fitness back into match fitness, but the whole all of training for those weeks leading up to this game tonight was about this game tonight, and not about how we're going to play against Millwall, how we're going to play against QPR. So there's a few apologies I think needed.
Yeah, I agree with that. And look, like I've already said about 3 or 4 times, it's not done, but I think the point still stands. Like even if we'd drawn tonight, I would have come away and said the same thing, that, the performance did justify the way we've approached this. So it's given us a great chance, going in that second leg. And I think there was a few important things. Obviously, the big calls in terms of team selection. We've already talked about Ballard. Completely different system for me at times. We had Isidor playing wide left for most of the game, and then he was coming inside, and then as the game drew on, we brought him off and we put Rig up there, but then we went to 5 at the back. We knew every step of this game. It was like, right, if we're leading, we do this. We help take the pressure off. We get another body, and if we, I just think the approach was absolutely outstanding. And one of the most important things coming out of this game was Wilson Isidor getting a goal, because we've been waiting since he scored against Leeds for him to bag again. And honestly, I had no doubt whatsoever when he was in that shooting position he was going to score, and none whatsoever. And I think the guy on commentary said that as well. He said once he lined that up, he was never missing. And you think about the pressure that's on him, because strikers are selfish by nature. They've got to be, and they've got egos as well. And his ego will be bruised from the fact that he's not been scoring goals. So in that moment, he had to be calm and cool. And we've seen him score a couple of times this season like that, where he just sort of whips it, and there's that much power on the shot. I mean, the keeper gets a hand to it, but it goes past him. And the whole goal for me was great, because I thought in the first half, we threatened that move several times, where we were ready to counter-attack. We were ready to come at Coventry. And it was a couple of times where I just got stuck in my ender's feet, or he didn't release the ball quick enough. But we threatened it. And I said to you at half-time in our group chat, I was saying, that's my only gripe, is that we need to take advantage of these counter-attacks, because Coventry were there for the take, and they left themselves wide open at the back. They were allowing us to isolate them with our pace up front. And I just thought if we could get that bit right, we would be okay. And it didn't take us too long. It was 68 minutes into the game when Isidor gets that goal. But it was a well-worked move too, because the ball to Isidor, I mean, he's just onside, and the ball's perfect. That gets him in behind. But still, I'll get your thoughts on the first goal, and I think it was a fantastic finish from Isidor.
It was. You know what? It works from the back, because Dan Neil does so well as well. When the ball comes free to him, he doesn't panic. He doesn't just boot the ball upfield. He sees the fear. It plays a beautiful little sideways pass, wasn't it, with the outside of his foot? And then the fear did what the fear does and plays a beautiful ball. And you know what? I was more concerned about him being offside than I was about him finishing. As soon as he got that, as soon as the flag stayed down, I knew that was going in. I think the keeper can look back of it and probably think he should have done better, because he gets a good hand to it, doesn't he? But it's a lovely finish. It's lovely, it's what he's been doing all season. It's what he's been doing. He's been in form, and that'll just watch him go now. That'll be the lift off his shoulders. You know, I expect him to score again on Tuesday night, to be honest. I expect him just to be like what he was 4 or 5 months ago when he was on form and he was just loving life, wasn't he? I'm just so happy for him as well, Gav, because he's had to go through that, you know, the 2 penalty misses, the goal against Derby, which somehow I still don't know why that was given, disallowed, and a drop in form, which he has had a drop in form, and a lot of people questioning, should he be playing in this 11? And he proved tonight that's why he should. He was excellent.
Yeah, and don't forget that in a lot of people's eyes, Mayenda has overtaken him in terms of the pecking order for our central striker. And like you said, Gav, strikers have got egos, and he's gone from the main man potentially challenging for the Championship Golden Boot to all of a sudden potentially losing his place in the side to a then 19-year-old lad. So yeah, it will. Ant's right. It'll have done him wonders.
But tonight proved as well that we can play them both. We're capable of having a system where they both can play. Whether that's Isidor doing, what he did, drift out wide. Mayenda came in the 10 when we were defending a lot, and he was the focal point to come out with the ball. There is a chance now that we can play them both. The system's there. It's harsh on Riggy. Of course it's harsh on Riggy, him not starting today. But I thought when he come on, he did well. There's just, people have got to make sacrifices for the greater good, haven't they? And, I sound like something I've hot fuzz now, don't I? But it was just, the system was right, and at least we proved it. There's a system there where they both can play.
Yeah, you mentioned the goalkeeper there before briefly as well. I wonder what was going through his head when the ball was hitting the back net. I think massive Sunderland fan, the Coventry keeper. Oh God, we've conceded. Oh, never. Nah, I'm sure he is actually good.
How many supporters points have I got for Wembley?
He'll be there. If we get there. If. Yeah, but then the reply was almost immediate, wasn't it? I mean, I've got a gripe with this because Sky's commentators never even talked about it, but it was a blatant foul on Dennis Serkin in the build-up that goal. Yeah, the defending was crap for the header. We switched off after scoring. And I actually think it was a pretty good goal. It was a good cross. It was a good header. And it's a lad in form, Jack Radoni, who gets the goal. But nothing was said about Serkin getting fouled in the build-up. He got absolutely clattered and they just got on with it and then they scored. But, I mean, if there'd been VAR, that goal would have been disallowed. So, regardless of Obama, I mean, we did switch off, didn't we, I think, with that goal. And I felt a bit for the away fans because they went absolutely mental when Isidor scored. And they didn't have long to celebrate it. They were back down to earth with a bang pretty quickly.
Well, even sat in my living room watching it, I barely sat back down and calmed down before we were 1-1. Yeah, the goal itself, Coventry, the biggest score, the highest scorers from crosses this season, as another stat that I saw. And we did such a good job in the first hour of stopping them even putting crosses in, let alone dealing them when they got into the box. And it was just, like you said, I missed the foul on Serkin, I'll be honest. It's something that eluded me. But then once Sakamoto's one-on-one with Lefay, and Lefay just overcommits ever so slightly, and he can't get back.
He's a player, by the way, Sakamoto, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's a good player.
Yeah, but well, in the wide positions, both their fullbacks and both their wide players are absolutely fantastic. I like
the lad who played us in on goal.
Well, up until that point, I thought he was absolutely amazing. Really, really impressive. But, maybe he's angling for a Sunderland move when we get promoted to the Premier League because we'll take him. He can give Trey Humer a bit of a run for his money. But yeah, the equaliser, to come back to it was disappointing just from the timing, and you can just tell that it was just, we were still on a high, having gone 1-0 up, and just a little lapse in concentration, and probably even a lapse in concentration from the officials, because if that was a foul on Hume, the officials themselves are still caught up in the furore of a goal and restarting play and everything else. So, yeah, it's disappointing. It's always disappointing to concede a goal that close to the goal. Because, Radoni, by the time he gets his head on it, he's pretty much on the 6-yard box. So,
yeah,
it was probably the only thing the ref missed, to be fair, because I thought the ref, all in all, had a really good game. When you look at it, the decision that was given last night, which completely ruined the game, I thought the ref, considering there was a lot of strong tackles went in, thought he was excellent, to be fair. But the one, because I seen it as well, and I thought it was a foul. There's probably one thing he's missing. Bowen's probably just said that it's probably just happened so quickly after we've scored.
Yeah. And to be honest, after that, I was sat thinking about it because the game the actual tempo of the game regressed after that point. Coventry didn't exactly come flying at us, so we just settled back in. We regained our cool, which was good. I think if they'd really put it on us, they might have had a chance to get a second, but they didn't. And I was sat there thinking, you know, I'd have been buzzing with a draw coming away from this. I would have still been sat here now, absolutely buzzing with a draw, because that means we've got them back to the Stadium of Light on even footing after losing there not long ago 3-0. And like I say, all the confidence of the Coventry fans leading into this game, I would have been over the moon with a draw. So to get the win, I mean, that was lush. And yes, we got a big helping hand with that back pass. I haven't got a clue what he's doing. If you watch the replay back, he actually has a look before he plays it too. So he hasn't played it blind. He's looked to see who's there. Obviously thought he can get the ball back to the goalkeeper. I've not seen the fact that Mayenda's 5 yards inside and just totally switches off. But Mayenda's still got to do his job. It wasn't like an easy angle to run. You know, he's coming in that sort of left channel, wasn't he? And they've panicked and the two defenders have tried to get back and cover. And I mean, for me, Mayenda, we've talked about him quite a bit in that I'm easily the most improved player in the squad by a country mile. And I think that's what he's added to his game. If you remember back to sort of Christmas time, when he missed that sitter against Stoke, he had a run, didn't he, where he missed a couple of sitters, like really simple chances. And now I just feel like whenever he gets within 10 yards of the goal, he's got a chance, because he's really improved in that regard. And I think it just capped it off, because the away end went absolutely ballistic. I would have loved to have been there tonight, to have been in amongst that. And it's the fact that our two strikers scored, because I think we put to bed a lot of the narratives coming into this game. There was the 40-year hoodoo at Coventry. We've never won there. Haven't won in our last, 12 games against them?
It was 2011 or something, wasn't it? Sunderland was like...
no, I think it was back to Roy Keane's time, wasn't it? It was the last time.
Yeah, Roy Keane was the last manager, to win.
So we put those two hoodoos to bed. Isidor's scoring run got put to bed. I just think that was good, because if you remember in the last playoff campaign we won, the one under Alex Neil, it was the same. There was all these narratives about Sunderland haven't won at Wembley, Sunderland haven't done this, and it was just like, well, you know, whatever, we'll get on with it. And we did that tonight. And I mean, that goal bomber by Mayenda, I think you've got to give hats off to their fullback for playing him in. But like I said, I still think he had a lot to do, and he finished well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you're right. He gets his head up, and I think he's caught between two minds. I think he's initially going to play it to the centre-back, then at the very last minute notices Mayenda's there and tries to switch his pass up, and he's obviously hit it back to the goalkeeper, but at the pace with which he's trying to pass it to the centre-half. But, yeah, the angle he's in, the fact that he's ahead of the two defenders, the keeper's come storming out. He's got to take it past the keeper, because the keeper's at such an angle that he can't kind of shoot past him. So he's got to take it round him, and he does. And then with his very next touch, so it's also a one-touch finish at quite a tight angle. Yeah, it was a lovely goal. Admittedly, like you said, he had it put on a plate. Well, no, that's the wrong thing to say. He didn't have it put on a plate for him. The chance was gifted to him, but
the opportunity was on a plate.
Yeah,
the goal wasn't.
Yeah. And yeah, he's done brilliant. And for both of our strikers, you know, to score tonight when it matters the most, have we scored one goal in our last 6 games prior to that?
I think we said we've scored 4 in our last 10.
Yeah.
Before tonight.
So for both of those to score in a 2-1 win at a place that we've not won in decades, yeah, you can't ask for anything more, really, can you?
No. I do want to quickly just run around the team. Actually, I know I said before we could probably spend 10 minutes on each of them, but I think we've got to give props to pretty much everybody. I mean, Patterson, there's a couple of hairy moments in there. That one right at the start, Jesus Christ. And there was also the one where he come herring off his line in the second half, and 09 cleared it, and he just 09 was telling him, like, you've got to talk. I know he's a complete mute, Patterson. I don't think he's ever opened his mouth in his life. But other than that, I thought he had a good game. I thought he really did. I thought he was, maybe one of his biggest flaws is one of his strengths too. Because tonight there was a few times when he come herring out, and it paid off for him, and he just took the pressure off. He went down, clutched the ball into his chest later on to slow the game down. So, you got to give him credit. I thought Dennis Serkin, after he got booked, was brilliant, because he really had to think rather than he couldn't just be going flying into tackles and stuff. He had to think. He had a good game. Obviously, the two centre-halves, we talked about Ballard before, but Luke 09 again was just, for me, fantastic. I thought the game plan suited him a lot, because when we our game plan when we had the ball was to hoof it as far as we could so that their defenders then headed it into danger. That it was pretty direct, but that was how we were going to win the second balls, was to put it on them. And it was all from Luke O'Nien. He was left foot, right foot, trying to get the ball just in a position where their centre halves had to panic a bit. But again, like Ballard, he put himself on the line. He was solid, and he's up to his old tricks. Still pushing people on set pieces, but it works for him. He doesn't get caught. So happy days. Trey Hume, I thought, was brilliant.
Yeah,
again, and some of his tackles, I mean, he's just a throwback, and he reminds us of like John Kay, Phil Bardsley, like Alan Hutton. Like, just when you think of the good right backs we've had at the club, there's a bit of all of them in him.
He's just hard as fuck, isn't he?
Good player. Aye, he is. Like, you wouldn't want to, like, because he's got it down to a T, where he basically really hurts the other person but wins the ball clean. So you can never dispute the fact that he's made a good tackle. But yeah, I thought Trey made a canny game. Patrick Roberts was quiet, wasn't he? But I don't think much of the play was concentrated down that side of the pitch, was it? So you can't really...
It wasn't his game, was it? Didn't suit, attacking-wise. He got into some good positions towards the end, didn't he, when we started taking control of the game. Now, that little curler, I think he got stuck between whether to cross it or shoot. Apart from, I've had any issues with him, to be fair.
Yeah. 2 centre-mids tonight, Bomber, for me. Bellingham and Neil were absolutely awesome.
Immense.
Do you know what it is with Job? He's such a good... You think of somebody like him because of who he is, and because of, everyone knows who his brother is. He gets a lot of attention, but his style of play, you don't notice a lot of what he does, but he's very effective. He's a proper like breaker up, isn't he, in the middle of the park? Just wins the ball for us. Like, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, because he's a Bellingham, you expect him to be the flair player who makes everything attacking wise happen and scores loads of goals and picks up loads of assists. And he should and could do more of that, but that's not where his strengths are. Certainly not at the moment. Anyway, his strengths, some of those last-ditch tackles he put in, there was one where the ball, I think it might fell to Haji Wright, literally about 10 of the box, and as Haji Wright's turning, he just slid in with his opposite foot and just taken that ball away from him, and he put in a couple of tackles like that. And it's also nice just to see not just him, all of our players just bursting with emotion just at that tackle, because it was very, I don't know if either of you noticed it, but it was very like Luke O'Nien-esque, that tackle. So he took the ball off Haji Wright, it got cleared, and he's got up with a massive roar, like fist pumping, come on. And between him and Dan Neil, I mean, it was as good a centre midfield performance as I think I've seen from a team that are kind of set up to play a counter attack and defend for large portions of the game. Their organisation, their physicality, I can't fault it.
Yeah. They've kept 2 very, very good players in Grimes and Sheaf very quiet. And now Radone scored, but apart from that, I don't think he did too much. But like Ben Sheaf is what makes Coventry tick. He's there Dan Neil, you know what I mean? He's like the focal point for them all the way through, and I thought he was quiet. And both of them, they were outnumbered, weren't they? Because they had 3 and now 2 with us playing a 4-4-2. Thought the pair of them just hugely, like, I mean, they play like beyond the years, don't they? I mean, Dan Neil's not, 23, 24, whatever old Dan Neil is, and Job's still young. Job's still like in his very infantry of his career. Both absolutely outstanding again. Yeah.
And I want to give props to Enzo Lefebvre, because, I mean, he played the ball for the first goal, but I thought when Sirkin got booked, he took a lot of defensive responsibility on. He basically played left back, because we knew their best player was playing on the right. I thought Sakamoto was outstanding. And once Sirkin had been booked, that put him in jeopardy. And Lefebvre basically just played like a left back. He was out there trying to win. And look, I think you can tell he's not a tackler. It's not natural to him. Like, he dives in, sometimes falls on his arse and stuff. But I think in terms of his shape and just the way he held his position, he was brilliant. In the moments we needed him to come up with some quality, he did, and that's why we saved him for the playoffs, because we knew he could do. He only needs 1 or 2 opportunities to do something like that, and with the pace we've got up front, that makes us very, very dangerous while he's on the pitch. I know everyone wants to see him central, but it wasn't the game for that tonight. I would have been disappointed if he'd played, more central. He did occasionally drift over, but he was mainly out on the left, wasn't he? So I would have been disappointed if he played centrally because I don't think he would have gotten the ball enough.
No,
Whereas
in a
out there-
4-4-2, that was the place to play him, because you're not going to put him centre midfield and shift out Joe Ball, Dan Neil, and equally you're not going to put him in place of Mayenda or Isidor in a game like that, where you're trying to play on the break. So yeah, it was perfect for him. And I echo what you were saying, Gav. He played 3/4 of the game at left back, and it's not what he's known for. It's not what he's famous for. It's not what we expect of him. But he did everything that was asked of him defensively to support Dennis Cirkin and stop those crosses coming in.
Yeah, well, we'll run through some of the 3-word reviews that have been submitted over on the Road Report X account. We've had 98, so I'm not going to be able to read out 98, but we will read out some. We'll start off with NC Dogs fan, who I'm just going to say thank you very much. Always retweets our tweets with the podcast, and he must be a big fan. Or she, I'm not sure if it's a he or a she. Absolutely fucking brilliant. Jack Kennedy says, Regis tactical masterclass, and I do think we have to talk about that while we're on that point. I know we've said there's been a lot of criticism of the approach, blah, 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 but the actual in-game tactics, the plan was just flawless for me. I think we did everything right. It was just great. Even down to the subs and the change in system and things like that, it all worked.
Yeah. Putting Alan Brown on with 6 minutes to go up front by himself. It's yeah.
It's almost like he knows what he's doing, you know what I mean?
Who'd have thought, hey? Who'd have thought?
Yeah. Yeah, almost like this manager who's kind of comfortably steered us to fourth deserves the opportunity to do what he thinks is right, isn't it?
And you know what, Bob mentioned it before, Gav, and I know we're only halfway there, but despite what happens on Tuesday, like a lot of fans have got, a lot of people, I'm not going to say fans because it's just silly people who were saying he should be sacked if we don't go up. And it's madness that. I mean, where were you expecting us? Like a year, I can remember like at the end of the season last year, sitting there and Saturday in some bar in Sunderland thinking, I think we might go down next year the way we're on. And then we get him in, he's fresh out of water. He's never managed in England before. He's got us into fourth position, playing some, attractive football at times, but some steady football. And here he is tonight, and people are like, going, why, if we don't go up, we should sack him and get Dave Challoner in. Like, why? What? You know what I mean? Give the bloke a chance. And he's done class tonight. He has.
Yeah. Ed Fletcher submitted about 20. That might be why we've got 98 replies. I'll read the first one out. Great away support. Yes, thank you to the away fans for backing the lads. We asked that, didn't we, collectively as a fan base? We were like, we need to get behind them, not just on Tuesday, but down there. I thought Coventry's fans were actually great.
Brilliant.
They were loud. They sang non-stop, but you could still hear the Sunderland fans getting through. They backed the team, and that's all you can ask, isn't it? Turn up, get behind the lads, and carry them over the line. Rob T180 says, Mayenda, superb composure. Sean, Reggie's tactical masterclass. Another 2 from Ed Fletcher. I'm going to skip past them. Richard Ingman says, didn't see that. Jason Beattie, finally beat Coventry. Daz Vickerson, Dan fucking Ballard. Chris Glassock, I believe again. Ethan Bills 123 says, till the end. Stephen Nesbitt says, great result tonight. John Kerr says, Dan Ballard. Very good.
It's only 2 words, really, though, isn't it? I have to cheat a little bit there, like.
Matty Foster, our Matty, he says absolutely fucking mint. Only one Kilban says fucking tactical masterclass. Akko says there's lots of fucking
very sweary tonight.
Desire. Oh, everyone's passionate tonight, aren't they?
Or pissed.
And that, yeah. Tony Byrne says up yours, Frank. Keith C says drums went silent. Yeah, like that. Pricey says tin pot cov. Don't think Chef Wes has got the memo. I love this team so much. That's a 5-word review. David No Glazed Donut says hit that switch. Steve Rain says trust the process. Yes, Steve, I'm with you there, mate. Jack Ayersbury says Ballard, Mayenda, Patterson. Stacey Shaw says who needs momentum? Again, agree, Stacey. Sean Kane, Ballard's magnet head. Will Campbell says, who's Jimmy Hill? And I'm going to end on this. I could be here all night, but I'm going to end on this one from HJ. Book the hotel. I don't know if I'm going to tempt fate and do something like that. Could save myself a few quid though and just cancel it if it doesn't come off. But no, oh God, we can't do that. We can't do that yet. We're not there yet.
Can I confess that I had mine booked in about February time?
Well, that's all right though. I don't have anything booked. So if I went and booked it tonight, I would definitely be tempted.
Yeah.
Fairly sure ours has been booked for a while. Like, but again, it's that, if anyone who is getting ahead of themselves, we've got a massive game on Tuesday night.
Yeah, there's
you
no
mentioned
mistake.
You mentioned the fans, Gav. Everyone who hasn't bought a ticket already for Tuesday, get that stadium filled out. Let's get behind the lads. Let's do what Coventry fans did there tonight, because they were massively behind them. If we're not winning by 15 minutes, let's not get behind. Let's not leave early. Let's stay till the end. Let's support this bloody football club right until the end, and let's show what we're made of on Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I believe straight after the game they opened up some extra blocks in the Premier Concourse. So I think you will. I mean, it annoys us that this is a thing, but you'll have people who were waiting to see what happened tonight before they decide to go on Tuesday. But whatever, we need a full stadium. We need everyone behind them. I'm sure they will. That'll get everybody up for it. Even the people who kind of went into this game tonight not expecting us to win. A lot of people were like, I just can't see it happening. We've not been good enough recently and all the rest of it. I think everyone's going to be on board now. You're not going to. That was a performance that gives people belief. That's why that's why you support Sunderland. You want to see that. That to me is the best way to win. I just love it. I love it when you're like away from home, backs to the wall. The Luton game was a little bit like that earlier in the season. I know I refer to that quite a bit, but it was a similar sort of performance where we really had to dig in and work hard, and at times we were under a lot of pressure, and we just kept our cool. And then when we had to be clinical, we were. And this was that, but was on steroids, because this is the playoff semi-finals. You've got to turn up. And I'm going to say this for the 20th time now, but it ain't done yet. I'm not getting too carried away. We can pray. I think you can kind of separate, praising the performance, praising how this went, praising the fact that we managed to get the job done, but also separate that from the fact it's only half time. We haven't won anything yet. Coventry are going to be coming at us on Tuesday night looking. They all they've got to do is get one goal in the back level, and then it's anyone's game. So,
but like you said, Gav, if you take the context away. If you take the context away of a playoff first leg, semi-final, etc., to go away to Coventry, win 2-1, put in that sort of performance, be resolute and brave in defence, and be clinical at the other end when you need to be. It doesn't matter if this was a regular games season or a playoff semi-final, we'd still be raving about it. So for tonight, like I said, we'll rave about the performance, we'll be buzzing, but then all focus needs to go on to Tuesday.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll not draw this out too much longer, because in the morning you will have Chris and Martin and maybe someone else, I'm not sure yet, doing a bit more of a, possibly, here's a pod whore. We'll get him on, probably. Yeah, there'll be a more thorough review of things and, maybe a look ahead to what's coming in the morning with Chris and Martin. So make sure you tune in for that coming out in the morning later on. I would imagine around 10, 11 o'clock, that'll be out. We are basically a daily podcast now, so there is stuff. Sorry, it's late. Sorry, people. I've been up a long time, so I'm amazed I've not tripped my words more than I already have. But yeah, we've got stuff coming right up to the game on Tuesday. I think on Sunday we've got a little special podcast coming with it's an interview which we did a few years ago now. It's very relevant when we're talking about playoffs, with Bill Bradshaw, who was the journalist who uncovered Swindon's financial wrongdoings back in 1990 when we were promoted via the playoffs despite losing. And I've listened to it before, and it is absolutely fascinating. And I can't wait for us to put that one out, because it's never seen the light of day. That one will be out over the weekend. On Monday, we've got the On This Week podcast. If you haven't caught up with the very first episode, that which came out at the start of the week, go back and listen to it. It's brilliant. It's basically a bunch of Sunderland history nerds nerding out over stuff that happened years ago. We kicked off with the first one this week. It was on a bunch of amazing things which are happening in the club's history, but the big story, of course, 5th of May, 1973 FA Cup final, where Kelvin told his story about going to all the games through the cup run and missing out on a ticket for the final. And how basically he dealt with that on Cup Final Day. It was actually pretty emotional. So make sure you listen to that. It's not out of date. It's still very relevant. But there's a week's worth of podcasts to catch up on if you've missed anything. And then on match day, on Tuesday, we will have a podcast previewing the game with Scott Wilson of the Northern Echoes. So lots to come, loads coming up. We'll get you primed for that second leg, I'm sure. We'll keep you all interested. And hopefully, when we reconvene for the reaction pod on Tuesday, we're talking about Sunderland heading to Wembley, me panicking because I haven't got no trains and hotels booked. And hopefully over the line. But we've got a lot of work to do still, so let's not get carried away.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys. Cheers for joining us. It's been great. Cheers to listeners. Like I say, make sure you grab the next pod, which will be out in the morning, I would imagine. And see you then.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.